Hello YouTubies, this is Subscribe and thank you for watching this YouTube video. So, I've got some news for you today. There is something very strange about this alleged coronavirus outbreak. They're closing schools, they're closing countries down. It's a whole global effort into restricting a viral outbreak into the world, right? Allegedly. Now here are some things to consider. Number one, the governments of the world say one thing, which really makes me very suspicious because no other viral outbreak would do this. It's 100% kind to children. No child has ever died of this viral outbreak. That's not suspicious at all. The measles will kill children. The flu will kill children. The norovirus will kill children. The mumps will kill children. But the coronavirus, that's okay. Don't worry about that. It won't harm children at all. And there's no evidence of it harming children. There are no names of the people who have caught this virus. None. There are suspected cases by the NHS. I mean, they say this person is suspected, and then the person doesn't have the viral infection. Have a think about this very carefully. The next thing is, in the history I've been alive, and many of my friends who are older, I'm in my 40s, there are people in the 60s and older than this, they have never closed down a global economy because of a viral outbreak. Never. The SARS virus, which was much more serious than this particular virus, more deadly as well. The measles is much more deadly. The Spanish flu, well, that speaks for itself. That's just a bloody fucking killer. The coronavirus is kind of a weak virus, to be fair. I mean, they say it kills like 1% and all this. Well, that doesn't really explain too much because most people who get infected by viral outbreaks tend to not report the fact that they have a cough or a cold. Barely anybody in the world reports a cold to the doctor. I don't. If I get a cough, I don't report it. Even if I get the flu, if I did, I wouldn't report it. It's only if you're dying and you think you're going to really need oxygen and go to the hospital, that's when people actually report it. So it's the sickest of the sick who end up in hospital. And yes, it has a higher percentage of killing people than a common flu. But the common flu kills half the amount of people that this virus does. Doesn't say much. We do have names of people who have died from the flu, by the way, but we have no names of people who have died of the coronavirus. Another thing to take in consideration is the norovirus kills 200,000 people a year. Normal flu within the UK kills 10,000 people a year. 10,000 in the UK. Nobody gives a fuck about that, do they? Nobody closes down the complete infrastructure of our society based on the fact that viruses potentially kill people, and do. Especially if you're old and you're frail and you're sick, you're much more likely to die of virus infections, which bakes the idea of if you have an infection and you're dealing with somebody very sick, have the decency not to infect them. Simple, isn't it, when you think about it? You can't stop viruses. You can't stop them coming out. Viruses don't need a host necessarily to survive. Some of them can survive for thousands of years without a host. So even if you keep people locked inside for the rest of their life, the viruses are still going to wait outside for the next generation to come out. And by the way, they can still get inside your fucking house anyway. Insects can bring them in. Pests can bring them in. The wind can bring it in. You're not protected. Believe me, you cannot stop viruses. They will always come for you eventually. I'm not trying to create a fear-mongering thing here. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Here's the thing, right? They've never done this before. And they are saying it's 100% childproof. And they're going crazy on the internet. They're monitoring everything that people are saying on the internet about this, by the way. And there are people who work in the military who are saying that this is a training up which is another very, very strange thing. What do they mean by training up? A training up means that you are testing a potential scenario that doesn't necessarily exist or could do to an extent, but you're trying to see if you can restrain it, and it's not necessarily a deadly threat. So it trains the personnel involved in the army, the governments, and all the personnel involved in hospital how to deal with the potential of a viral outbreak. And this is what this looks like. No children will be harmed with this virus because they don't want to scare children. No names given of people who passed away from this virus, even though there's many people who have allegedly died in Europe, and there's a number of people who died in the UK. No names given at all. Right? Another thing is the fear-mongering behind it is absolutely fucking insane. They have to build enough fear so they can close down the borders and try to run this training up. Military personnel, some of them I know in the army, have mentioned that this is a training up, like it to be a training up. So we are going to see potentially a slightly different operation in the UK, and we see slightly different operations in USA, in Italy, in China, in Ireland or in lockdown. They're bringing the military in for some reason because people might have the potential to catch a cold. Let's not forget that the other viruses do kill, okay? And this virus isn't particularly deadly. I mean, it's deadly to the very, very sick, right? But it's not deadly to you. If you're in good health, or even if you're not on your last legs, you're likely to survive it. You just go get the flu at most. Most of you will just get a cough. The fear-mongering behind it is absolutely incredible. The people in the alternative media who are feeding into this, you guys are going to look incredibly stupid when it comes out that this is a training up and that you fed into a government organised operation, a test run, right? Not an actual real life thing, but a test run to close down the infrastructure, to ruin businesses, by the way, just to experiment the potential of how well they could cope if a viral outbreak came in. I was shocked to see some of the responses by the media. Sargon of Akkad shocked me completely. I mean, him saying that they should, keep people locked up indoors. Right? What are you going to do with that when the flu comes out? What are you going to do with the standard flu? There's always a potential of the standard flu. Go keep people locked up indefinitely. What about the cold? They kill people. Colds all around the world all the time. We'll have to keep people locked up with curfews all the hours of the day, only allowed out to go to work and to come back, and strict measures basically because some people might be at risk of a cold. Where's the line of common sense here? Here's another thing, people like Computing Forever. I mean, he really surprised me. But I mean, a lot of these are nitpickers. It's pretty much like who's that guy, Piers Morgan. You look at how the media actually react to everything. They pick a nutter off the streets and they find them talking about complete nonsense. It makes them look a bit more sensible with their discussion, and suddenly they can release their own propaganda, say anything and sound reasonable. It's kind of a very strange time we're living in, that people trust anybody they've never seen before. Now, I am saying that this is a training up. Well, it might not be, but it looks like a training up, basically because children can't be harmed by this virus. I mean, that's just very, very odd to me. And that's something that the government would say to, if they are running a training up, that's exactly what they would say. And a few things like no Val patient has been named. The government has never done this before, and suddenly they decide all at the same time to do it. We'll see what happens in a few months' time, okay? So just don't think this is going to kill you. It's a very strange time we're living in. And don't get carried away that they're going to lock you up or kill you. If the military do find a way in your streets, which they are going to do in Ireland, don't get too carried away with it, okay? They're just a training gob. Don't worry about it. They will be gone eventually. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.